In due respect to Mr. Pearl, I received an email from him today stating what he was going to discuss at public input, and I would ask the chair not to allow it under council rules G, and I will submit that to you, and you can read it into the record if you'd like.
This is from the Town Council Rules and Procedures G. Council members, staff, and members of the general public participating in meetings shall address all questions or remarks through the chair, confine their remarks to the merit of pending questions, and shall not engage in personalities. I understand that. I understand this clearly. I'm familiar with it. I think if Mr. Pearl wants to keep that in mind, keep his comments to 5 minutes, not engage in personalities, and only deal with those issues that we have control over. So this is not a political forum, it's a governance forum. If you have some recommendations or questions for us, we'll be glad to take receipt of your remarks. But stay away from personalities and let's focus on the governance issues.
Thank you.
Mr. Burke.
I'd like to recount some of the events that have happened over the last 2 weeks regarding the council's information regarding the removal of the police chief.
I'm going to call that out of order. This is not a governance issue. We have no control over the actions of the police commission. It's a dead issue as far as I'm concerned. All we can do is await the results of the police commission, and we're encouraging them and hoping that they will report to us in the near future.
Excuse me, Mr. Syrick. I'm talking about the town council's actions.
The town council took no action. I released a press release or released a comment to the union leader, and that was the end of it. Thank you very much.
I am talking about the town council's...
Mr. Chair, could you put him out of order,
Yeah,
please?
you're out of order. It's done. We're not going to discuss anything but... Yes, it's done as far as I'm concerned.
It's not done, Bill.
Sir, we're out of order. You're out of order.
You made
It's done.
You're not going to hear my public input?
Mr. Chair, if we could adjourn and have maybe the Hooksett Police Department remove him.
I hate to see us go to that point.
I do too, but you asked them a couple of times politely. We weren't going to discuss it.
I asked for a vote of the council. This is out of order, Mr. Syrick. This is out of order.
I told you we're going to restrict this to governance issues of items that we have control over. We do not have control over the issues that you're referring to.
You do not have control over your communications as the chair.
I guess I got to remind you, in public forums, okay, this is not an opportunity to debate. We are not going to debate these issues. You have other forums to do that. So we are not going to debate this issue. I would ask you to remove yourself from that chair.
You have a counselor.
I will ask you to remove yourself from that chair. I do not want to resort to stronger measures, so please remove yourself from that chair.
Mr. Chairman, we have someone who
I'm
Yes.
sure he'll recognize me.
Yes.
So, boy, this went from looking through the reading file quickly to what's happening. Can we take a step back and maybe slow down a little bit here? So it's time for public input, and my understanding is at that point, Councilor Lembo said that he knew what this gentleman was going to speak about because he sent him an email. Am I following correctly so far?
Point about he sent all councilors an email. I don't know if
Okay, I only check my email when I'm off work, so I'm trying to make sure I understand where I am at the moment. And that would be that you said that you did not think this gentleman should be allowed to speak based on this rule because you knew what he was going to say because he sent you the email. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Again.
And if I may continue, could we read the council meeting G again?
Council members, staff, and members of the general public participating in meetings shall address all questions or remarks through the chair. Confine their remarks to the merits of pending questions and shall not engage in personalities. We do not have any pending questions on our agenda.
Well, no, right now is our public input. That is the question.
And
That is where we are now. That is the section of the agenda. I'm just trying to make sure I understand and make sure things are going correctly. I don't like it when things escalate in the matter of 3 minutes to, we're going to call the police. I find that very, very disturbing in a professional setting. So, if I may continue, I'm trying to figure out exactly, from the minute it's public input, we have always at this table, rightly or wrongly, allowed the person to speak and to have their statement. If there is anything to be said back from the council, is my understanding of what should not occur, and that is the debate that should not occur. But my understanding of public input, and I guess I'd like to look more at the council rules and procedures specifically to public input. Now, I don't want to sit here and waste time all night debating whether or not this gentleman should speak or not, but having not read the comment, 3 words came out of his mouth and he was ruled out of order. I do believe that's inappropriate, and I would like to make a motion that the council vote whether or not to continue with public input or close it at this point. Thank you.
Are you making a motion to close public input?
I'm making a motion to continue public input and listen to and give everybody their rightful 5 minutes to speak.
I'll second that. Discussion.
Council rules dictate, and I read them today, that public input can only go to matters pending that night. And we have nothing to do with the police commission at this time. And I was shut down at other meetings when I wanted to bring up police commission issues, and I was told we have nothing to do with it. And I want to follow up with that we have no issues with the police commission at this meeting. And we have nothing, we can't even make a decision on it. And the council rules state...
Can we concentrate on public input? I'm
But
sorry, but we need to concentrate on public input and not the police
Address your
commission.
comments to the chair, please. This
This
is not
is
a debating
ridiculous.
situation. Please address your comments to the chair. Mr. Sullivan.
I can understand what was written into the record. My question is, regardless of whether it's this issue, if someone has an issue that's not known to us, that's not on the agenda, then no one can actually give public input. Is that correct? Just clarifying.
Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Chair, if I may. According to council rules, yes, they would have to be put on the agenda. They can speak to stuff that was brought up at other meetings, but public input states so clearly in the council rules.
Other comments?
I tend to go with what Mr. Sullivan is, I think, saying, and that is that simple public input should be allowed to be said. I mean, there were several things that were brought up by other public people regarding a visit by the ambulance to the library, very random things, and thanking people for putting flowers out and things like that. So I'm sorry, but I agree that Mr. Pearl should be allowed to speak on public input.
Other comments, please.
Yeah,
Mr. Levin.
I think that the problem we're facing here is precedent. Up until this point and up until this position, we haven't brought forth this rule and enforced it. So I don't think we have a position to stand on to all of a sudden say that because Mr. Pearl proactively sent all the counselors this information ahead of time, that allows us to preempt his ability to speak. I think it just sets a bad precedent. I think sometimes we've got to hear what we've got to hear, even if we like it or not. And it's, once again, we give citizens 2 times a month to give 5 minutes of input, and you can hold them to 5 minutes of input, like it or not. There was a couple situations where people have given input that I didn't particularly want to hear and I think was pertinent. But I'm willing to listen if it pushes the dialogue and such. That's my position.
Other comments?
I'd like to see the piece of council rules that talks specifically about public input, so that it could be considered?
I believe
I
that's
did
it.
not bring my.
I'll-
I have a copy here, and my copy doesn't say that. And it's in the...
This was in the rules and procedures, it's
I
not in
have the
the...
council rules and procedures revised 3/9/2011.
Page 4, correct?
On page 4, mine doesn't read like that.
Okay.
And I don't know if mine's an older version and it was old, I'm not sure, but this is what I was given when I started.
Mr. Levin?
If Mr. Pearl wants to talk on something on the subject, fine, but we have no control over the police commission. We can't make any decisions on it.
Point of order.
Sir, please.
The motion
would you
is
please
not,
let
the
Mr.
motion
Levin
is not
finish?
about the police commission. The motion is about public input.
Continue, please.
I say he can have public input, but not discuss things that we have no control over. That's all. Thank you.
I will make a final comment if no one else has anything else.
If I could add
Yes,
one
sir.
thing, Mr. Chair, I understand and respect the rules of the council, and I also recognize and appreciate the precedent that has gone before us from other members of the council, and I think to preempt the comments because we know they're coming based on what he sent us has a profound and chilling effect on the public, and I may agree or disagree with what he has to say, but I'll defend his right to say it.
I agree with his, well, any other comments?
I get
What-
3 comments, I believe.
One moment, please. Any other comments, please? Well, you spoke twice already.
No.
All right, go ahead.
I will agree to let Mr. Pearl speak, but when he starts attacking a counselor, I would like it stopped.
First of all, I'd like to agree 100% with Councilor Lembo. We should not engage in personalities and public input. There is a specific section in the council rules that talks about public input, and this is not it. I believe if we're going to look at the council rules, we should look at it as a whole. And while I appreciate this point of it, I'm not sure if I agree it has to do with public input. Because if we're only talking about the things that are on the agenda, then we would not have a lot of public input, I do not believe. In addition to that, I have to move right down and say I agree 100% with Mr. Downer. We do only, whether I agree or not, I have to agree to allow him to speak in this country we live in. Councilor Wazah had mentioned we only give them, our public, so much time to speak to us. And if there is a matter that is of importance, this is their chance to bring it to us in a forum where they cannot be ignored, where the email cannot be deleted, the phone message cannot be ignored.
All for sharing your very thoughtful remarks, and I appreciate that. I think you need to know why I was trying to gavel down Mr. Pearl. I received a number of complaints and concerns from other members on the council concerned about disparaging remarks, personalities exchanged, and public input. To the point where I know in the past we've had people who have resigned, who decided not to run for office because of those kind of hostilities that sometimes comes from the general public. And so I'm trying to develop a balance. I certainly respect the public's right to know. And I think, ironically enough, I think we have to thank Mr. Pearl for shooting that video. That's how we found out what was happening. So thank you very much. The Police Commission did not respond officially in regard to what happened on their midnight discussion. So we thank you for that. But in this particular council and in this particular conference, we need to do some serious business dealing with governance. And I do not want this to evolve into personalities or disrespect. That was the rationale for me gaveling you down. Now, if you would like to provide input, well, I guess we got a motion on the floor. I don't have any problem. In fact, I will vote against the motion and allow you to speak, providing you restrict your comments to the governance issues and stay away from personalities. One of the reasons I gaveled you down the second time, you already started on saying demeaning remarks about me. This is not an opportunity to have political remarks about an individual. Let's focus on the issues. So, do somebody, we need to take a vote on the motion?
And if we could read it back, I believe it was a positive motion, not a negative motion.
Do you have the
Yes,
motion?
the motion is to continue public input.
Okay, all those in favor, any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion to continue public input signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Mr. Pearl.